How you doing, guys? This is Josh C Boxing. I hope you guys are all well. If you haven't done so already, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. So we are talking about Chisora versus Otto Wallin, and it's happening today in Manchester on a Queensbury card. Queensbury, seems like the pendulum's shifting a little bit in terms of who the biggest stable and who the best stable is at the moment. In my opinion, I think Queensbury are doing a great job at the moment, and a big fight's happening today: Chisora versus Wallin. Now this is Chisora's penultimate fight number 49. He says his final fight's going to happen in Africa. We'll see if that happens, but that's what he's aiming for in that sense. Both guys weighed in yesterday. 259 pounds for Chisora and 239 pounds for Otto Wallin. No concerns there for me, in my opinion. I think they came in at good weights. It's going to be interesting to see how they perform at those weights. Let's look at the fighters, first of all. Let's talk about Derek Chisora. Now, as I was thinking about Derek Chisora the other day, I thought to myself this question, and I'm going to ask you guys this question. I'm going to pose it to you. Out of all current heavyweight fighters right now, who has a better heavyweight resume? I'm going to argue it's Derek Chisora. I really would argue that. Why would I argue that? So let's look at his resume. Faced Tyson Fury 3 times. Kubrat Pulev. Joseph Parker twice. He's faced Alexander Usyk. He's faced David Price. Artur Szpilka. Dylan White twice. Carlos Takam. I mean, the list still goes on. Ajit Kabayel. He's faced, I've said Dylan White already. He's faced David Hay. Do you remember that in 2012? Just before that, also just after that, sorry, he faced Malik Scott. He's faced Vitaly Klitschko. He's faced Robert Helenius. I mean, the guy's faced the who's in boxing. I don't think there's a current heavyweight who has a better catalogue of fights. And I think when all is said and done, Chisora is going to be highly respected in that sense. The guy's got into the ring and fought everyone he possibly could. Now, some may argue, well, he hasn't faced AJ, he hasn't faced Dubois, he hasn't faced Wilder. Quick answer to that. Dubois, I don't think that's happening at this stage. AJ, that's his boy, so that's not going to happen. And lastly, Wilder, I don't think anyone wants to see that match right now. I think Wilder just needs to retire, if I'm honest with you. So I don't think that's going to happen. But in terms of everybody else, he's faced everybody in the heavyweight division, previous generation, current generation, in that sense. So fair kudos to him. Let's talk about his style for a little while. Come forward style, swarming style. I think that style came in when he brought in David Hay in 2018. David Hay became his manager. And we saw that swarming style, as I said, in 2018 when he faced people like Dylan White. I know he lost that second fight, but it was a come forward style. Senad Gashi, Artur Szpilka, David Price, Alexander Usyk. We've seen that come forward style, and it's actually been good for him. I would actually say it's been a bit of an Indian summer. I think we've seen the best of Derek Chisora during that time between kind of the 2018 to 2020 period. However, even saying that, I think after 2020, after that Usyk fight, I think things have started to decline a bit. And it'll be interesting to get your thoughts on this, right? So he faced Joseph Parker twice, especially in that second fight. He was taking punishment that I found uncomfortable, to be honest with you. He faced Kubrat Pulev. I thought he lost that fight, even though we got the rub of the green. Tyson Fury, it was just a one-sided fight for 10 rounds. It was a TKO loss. Gerald Washington, I even think he lost that fight. I think he done all right against Joe Joyce, but there was nothing in there for me to think, right, do you know what, he should continue fighting. However, he's keen to get to fight number 15, and he's got Otto Wallin. It's going to be interesting to see what happens tonight. Let's talk about Otto Wallin. Record 27-2, 15 KOs. So he's got respectable power. I don't think it's kind of lights out power in that sense, but respectable. I think, and I say this with respect to Otto Wallin, when I think of him, I think nice guy. I think career's been a bit stale, if I'm honest with you. And I think to myself, when he's had the opportunity to kind of really show himself, and I say this after the Tyson Fury fight, I think when he had the opportunity to show himself against AJ, I think he let himself down in that sense. But let's go into it. So 2019, faces Tyson Fury. A fight that everyone thought Fury was going to win easily. Tyson Fury in those early rounds found it a bit challenging. And he got a cut in the early rounds above his right eye. However, Fury won the fight, and I think he won that fight clearly. However, Wallin got plaudits for this in terms of giving Fury a challenge in that sense. After that, you'll think to yourself, okay, right, Otto Wallin, what's he going to do next, right? He's going to possibly set things on fire a little bit, you know what I mean? Get people talking about him. To be honest with you, he didn't. Travis Kaufman, Dominic Brazil, he won by unanimous decisions. Sokolovsky, he won on points. That Sokolovsky fight, I think, was really, it was pants. I wouldn't advise anyone to watch that fight. It was 8 rounds of time that I could never get back in that sense. He did fight Gassiev in Turkey, and he won by a split decision. This is not the Gassiev who was in the cruiserweight division. It's a different. I don't even know what's happened to that guy, but he beat Gassiev. Then, as I said, he faced Anthony Joshua. I was close to saying beat there, but he faced Anthony Joshua. He was nowhere near close to beating Anthony Joshua, and honestly, it was like a one-sided fight again. Went for 5 rounds. And honestly, there was nothing that he brought to the table in that fight. I expected a lot more from him. In that sense, especially as they have sparred each other, so they know each other a little bit, you know what I mean? But he didn't do anything, in my opinion. And then he fought last year. I'm not going to pronounce the guy's name out of respect. And now he's facing Derek Chisora. So that's his record. In terms of the kind of fighter he is, he's a safety first fighter. He's a boxer mover out the southpaw stance. Now you're thinking boxer, mover, southpaw. Usyk. Let me be very clear right now. He is nowhere like an Usyk in that sense. Usyk is leaps and bounds from anywhere Wallin is. But Wallin likes to move around the ring. It's kind of a safety first approach from Wallin. So that's going to be interesting to see how those styles mesh this evening. So let's get into the X's and the O's of the fight. Now, when I thought about it, I personally I think it depends on how Chisora, in my opinion, comes into this fight. Is he able to swarm Wallin, or will Wallin be able to adopt that safety first approach? Will he get into a rhythm where he's adopting that safety first approach and Chisora can't really catch him? I can see that happening. I can see Wallin getting into the ring and for 12 rounds, not taking too many risks, getting into a rhythm where he can kind of box and he can kind of move around the ring. And as he's doing that, it tires Chisora as the rounds continue to go on, because we know Chisora's going to try and chase him. Chisora's not going to do anything different. We know what we're getting from Chisora. And as that happens, Wallin starts to build up on points, and he wins a points decision in that sense. Now, on the flip side, if Chisora is able to catch Wallin and he's able to swarm him, I think we're going to be in for a fight. And I don't know whether Wallin has it in him, and it'll be interesting to see, to kind of man for man, toe for toe, going in a bit of a war. I don't know if he's able to do so, and that will be interesting to see if he's able to do so. However, I really think it boils down to whether Chisora is able to catch him, swarm him, that come forward style, or whether it's just going to be a boxer mover moving around the ring in that sense. Now, I know on social media some people have said, well, what about his fight against Joe Joyce? And I'm talking about Derek Chisora here. Derek Chisora beat Joe Joyce. That he did. But it's 2 different styles. We're talking about a Joe Joyce who comes forward. Derek Chisora doesn't have to think. He didn't even have to think about, let me try and catch Joe Joyce, because Joe Joyce was just there. And let's be honest, Joe Joyce is not the fastest guy. By no means. He's nowhere near the fastest in terms of foot speed. He's nowhere near the fastest instead of moving around the ring. I'll leave it at that. So it wasn't per se difficult for someone like Chisora to catch him. But we're talking about a 41-year-old Chisora, not the fastest guy, and he's against a boxer mover. I think, in terms of my head, I'll be honest, my head is telling me Wallin, but my heart really wants Chisora to win. In that sense, it'll be a great send-off, because this is going to be his final fight in the UK, and how amazing would it be for him to be Otto Wallin in his final fight in the UK. However, my head's telling me Wallin, and I think that is how it is going to go right now. I might change my mind as we get closer to the fight, but I can't see my mind changing right now. But anyway, that's my thoughts. What about your thoughts? What do you think about this fight? Who do you think's going to win this fight? And how do you think this fight is going to go? Are you similar to me in the sense of you think Wallin's going to be moving around the ring? That boxer mover kind of style? Or do you think he's going to come forward? Maybe he thinks to himself, do you know what? Chisora's 41 years of age. He's not as fast as he used to be. I can come forward and kind of take off the safety first approach in that sense and come forward. Is that what he's going to think? Let me know your thoughts. Who do you think is going to win it? As I said before, that'll be interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to leave it there. Guys, as I said, if you like, share and subscribe, it will be super, super appreciated. Thank you to all those people who have done so far. And until next time, peace.